Hello everyone, I'm Pascal, Victor Alpha 2 Papa Victor. Welcome to my shack. Today I will be showing you something new. I don't know if you noticed, but I got something new in my shack, which is this Kenwood TS-990. I'm very proud of, and I did trade in my FTDX3000 from Yaesu, which I love very much, but I couldn't hold myself when I saw this one on the used flea market from someone I know, and I'm very happy about this new acquisition. I don't know if you're like me, but you know, sometimes you go around the internet when you have something that you are interested in and you actually don't find what you're looking for. You're looking at, let's say you're gonna see people unboxing equipment, you're gonna see people showing problems about an equipment, they're gonna show a specific part of it, but never a quick tour about what it feels like to own this type of equipment. So that is something I'm going to try to do today, and try to show you a quick tour about this radio. The first thing, if I compare to my FTDX3000, the first thing I notice is that in the back of the radio there's missing some port. Believe it or not, the FTDX3000 have more option in the back. It has, let's say, the 990 here doesn't have the PTT connection, RCA PTT connection. It doesn't have the ALC connection, so you need to go to the remote connector and make your cable to be able to use the amplifier and the ALC. It also doesn't have a PTT port, so you cannot have a push to talk like this to PTT your radio, so you need to go to the accessory port. But it does have Ethernet connection, so that's very cool. So you just plug in a RJ45 Ethernet cable and you're able to connect to the radio remotely by IP. So that's a good feature. It does have a sound card like all my other radio and the FTDX3000. So it has a USB port in the back, it has USB port in the front, so you can back up your config, and it's actually quite easy to operate this radio. So believe me or not, there's a lot of buttons, but don't be intimidated by this. Actually, usually when you have an HF radio or a compact radio like the 991 here, there's a lot of sub-menu. The only menu that you find in the 990, most of the menu, something that you do once when you configure the radio, or very rarely, are configure in the menu, but everything that you need to touch when you operate, everything is at a push of a button. So that's very quick, very easy to do DX, to do split, to do even to adjust your RX or TX equalizer. So it's an amazing radio. So let me show you in more detail what it feels like to play with this thing. Okay, now you're in front of the radio. So let me show you the basics. Actually, what you have is the menu, and that's the menu I was talking about. It's not the radio, the main screen here, the 7-inch screen, it is touch screen, but you cannot select anything from the menu from there. You can only go into the spectrum scope and just click to switch frequency. Other than that, there is no touch screen on that radio. So if you go with the arrow here, you can travel through the menu. So there is actually some basic configuration you can do, like the screensaver, and you always use this when the lights turn on, then you can use it to scroll through the menu. There is a lot of menu, but like I said, don't be intimidated with this. And then if you go back to the menu, top menu, all the buttons here are showing on the screen which it does. So depending on which menu you are, so you use this button to do your settings. So it's very easy. You can set up your clock, you can set up your LAN connection. Okay, I have mine in DHCP, that's pretty cool. So you just reserve the DHCP address that you got into your router, and you're able to to actually connect to that IP after all with the software, the remote software that is free, by the way, by Kenwood. You just download it on their site. So you go back in the top menu. There's an advanced menu as well that I won't go through all the things, you know, just showing you the basics where you do the setup, okay? But usually when you did all your setup from there, you actually, everything is controllable in front of the radio. So I'll just get out of the menu. Right now I did set up the spectrum scope with the waterfall. I did a lot of attenuations to make sure that I see the activity. So if I go here, you see, okay, un instant, sorry, there was somebody's calling CQ on the other frequency. So you can actually turn the VFO and goes to the signal you want to listen. What happened is I did set it up in fixed mode because you can see I cannot go, so I have to set up the span, and it's in fixed mode because when you are in center mode, when you scroll, you lose the waterfall. It stopped working. So for me, this gets confused. I don't know where to go anymore, so I have to wait because I prefer using the waterfall. So what I did is I did a fixed mode, and then I can go from the fixed mode, and then it's still fixed. So I set up the band. Which I want to see. So depending on which band, if I go to here on 80 meters, you see I have the span that I want to see. It's 100 kc. So then I see, and I'm still in fixed mode. I can go in center whenever I want. So it's not a problem. So that's back on 40 meter. We are in the daytime. Propagation are not very good on HF lately, but it's giving you an idea of how it's looked like. So if you press SCP here, you can switch the scope. So without any scope, when you do this, or when you have only the spectrum without the waterfall, you can select actually 3 different type of meter here. There's one that's more white, and it's a needle meter. I prefer this one. This you set up in the menu that I showed you, but when you add the waterfall, you lose this type of meter. Then you have a bar meter. So we go from left to right. We have the power, we have a timer. Every button, if you hold the button, you go in the menu. So that's pretty easy. So you can set up a timer. Whoop, it's still on and it leaves. You can program this one. You have a dimmer, so you can dim your screen. You can also, if you push the button, you can still make different setting for different dim. So you program the button 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to do the setting you want. So usually I use setting number 2. So if I go here and I go setting number 2, whoops, sorry, I go, hold on, okay, setting number 2, and you can go in which one is highlight. You just go with the arrow, and you can add or retrieve or subtract some amounts and adjust whatever you like. So let's push that button. It's the PTT or the MUX if you want. You have the antenna tuner, which is very fast, and it tuned very well. And you have the USB cable here. You can plug a USB stick, and you can do your backup of your setting, and you can plug a remote keyboard. So you just plug a keyboard. I got a wireless keyboard that I use. I plug it in, and then I can do my setting. Or you can do a digital mode with this keyboard. I didn't find anything in the manual or anything in the radio that will let you actually do CW with a keyboard. So you can do only digital mode, but it does not encode or decode CW. Anyway, I didn't find any. If you do escape, you always return to where you were, but let's keep the spectrum like this. All the other button, it's contextual. Let's say if you press dimmer, hold on. Okay, I'll put more brighter. Hold on a second. Depending on where you are, you will have a menu that will change here. So you see, there's a RX antenna in. I'm using RTR1A from DX Engineering, so I have my MFJ 1026 noise canceller that I'm using with a receiving antenna. and I got a lot of relay go on when I transmit with a 1 kilowatt, and actually the relay will cut that out, and I'm using the RX out of the RTR1A to supply the signal to the radio, the main radio. And if you want to use the RX antenna, you just push here. Now I'm on antenna 1. I can have antenna 2, antenna 3, antenna 4, then come back to antenna 1. But usually I use my RX antenna, but when I'm going to transmit, I'm going to be on antenna 1. So that's pretty easy to set up. You have your mic gain, your Vox, you activate your Vox or not. You have your processor in and out, so you adjust the in first and then the out. Just push the button to have it. And you have the power and the carrier here. You have full break-in if you want, but it only works in CW. Your key spig, because for your keyer that's integrated, the delay, CW pitch, and the monitor if you want to monitor yourself when you transmit. So that's pretty common feature that you see on an HF. You have all your mode here, LSB, AM, FM. If you want to go in USB, you just push twice the LSB button, but it should be on the default on the band you are when you select that band. Here, there's a small screen in the middle on the top of the main VFO. Actually, you can set that up. You can have here you have a button called S for display. Then you can change it, and you can change it when you're in digital mode to have a vector scope. And I prefer this look, you know, it just look nice. You have your main receive and transmit, but if you want to do split, you can transmit on the sub as well. Well, it's actually using the main transceiver, but you can transmit on the sub frequency. You can send the frequency on the sub doing this, okay? So that's pretty easy. So, and then you can switch from one to the other. You can even switch the band scope to the sub VFO here, main sub. Now what you see is the, hold on a second, you see I'm changing the sub, and now I can see the scope on the sub, and then I can come back here on the main for the scope. The information you have here, you can actually select the band you want, but you can also enter a frequency directly. Hold up, I push the menu instead. Press enter, and you have the key will light up, and you just enter the frequency you want. Okay, so then enter. You have the transverter, the drive for the transverter that you can activate. You got a general coverage. There's also something pretty cool that maybe you're gonna find, but you cannot use most of the feature when you're in that mode. If you go in main menu, and you can go in SWL, and then you have similar type of display that you see on shortwave listening radio. So it's pretty cool. I don't use it very much. So I don't actually use it at all. And whoops, sorry. That's what I did something wrong. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna switch back to the normal mode. And you can switch from the main and the sub. So if you're on the sub, you change the sub with this one, and the same thing here. If you're on the main, you change with this one. You change the sub with the other one, the other VFO. You have the find, the voice. So it's gonna give you the frequency. 7.093. By default, this key here will tell you the signal you get. Okay, so you just push again. It's here. Yeah, we have signal somewhere. Hold on a second. Oh, there you go. S6. You see? 10 so dB. It will give you the signal strength, and it's up and down for the band or megahertz. And you have the memory. You have the recorder. You can actually record live. Let's go here. We'll go on one frequency or somewhere. Let's say I'm going to record that. So I'm recording that. Okay, I'm gonna stop. You can record on a USB stick, and I'm gonna play it back. Hold on. You see? You can hear the sound. So that's pretty easy. So you can do that, record on the USB stick as well. Like I said. All the other button, here you have your RIT, your XIT, so if you want to, you know, receive frequency, transmit frequency, have an offset from the main frequency, you can clear that out. You also have on the display, you have the power that you're using. Okay, so I'm using 100 watts to drive my amplifier, but I got the LLC connected as well. I also have my TX EQ, which is here, okay, and you have the RX EQ, which is off, and you have the date and the time, but you lose it when you activate your waterfall, so that's another thing. And you can select a different antenna for the sub VFO. You just go to sub and you change the antenna, so same thing, easy. You can select the RX or not. So the rest of the radio, what you have here, is actually settings for your AGC, set tracking, and common feature. You also have your RX in for your RX EQ. You can select. If you hold a button, you can set that up, and you can adjust it manually. Okay. Actually, if you buy one of those radio, you want to have a good setup. I have a Heil PR20. You can go on Bob's site, Heil Sound. I don't know if Heil or Heil, I'm sorry. My English sometime playing some tricks on me. So I think it's Heil. So you go on his website and you check for TS-990, and he will give you actually a very, very good setting that you will only need to fine tune for the TX after that. So that's my setting for my TX EQ, and people are saying that my audio are very, very good, so I'm very happy about that. So that's a good feature. You also have here for the sub the filter selection, fine, voice, and lock, you know, and here for the main. You have the AF for sub on the right here, and RF gain that you can adjust, and one for the main VFO. And from here you have the noise blanker. You have the noise reduction. It's not as good as the FTDX 3000, but when I adjusted correctly, I did that and it took me a little while. It's pretty close. So if you want to hear the difference, I'm going to take it off. You see noise reduction 1. So you have there the noise reduction. So it's doing a fine job, but not as much as the FTDX 3000. And if you want to activate the noise reduction of the noise blanker on the sub receiver, you have all the button here. You have noise blankers 2, noise blanker 1, noise reduction 1 and 2. So if you select it, it will use the setting that is set up on the pots there. So it's actually using the same one on the main band, and you can deactivate it. But I usually, oops, that's a noise blanker. I'm gonna use another one. You also have a mute for the sub receiver, a mute for the main. You can have as well AGC setup. You have your auto notch, your manual notch, beat cancellation, you know, all that kind of feature. The notch is there, notch is there for the sub. So it's actually a pretty easy radio to operate, quite actually what an intuitive radio. So that's my first side of it. I've been at it for 2 weeks now, and I ran over the manual and I was able to get everything I needed, except it took me 2 or 3 days to get everything, to get the plug in the back, because there was only one plug that came with it. I don't know if the original, I have the original box and everything, but I bought it used, so I don't know if the remote connector was in the box when you bought it new. I can't say for that, but I needed to find one to be able to connect the amplifier, and I needed the 13 pin DIN in the back to connect my PTT. I could have connected it on the mic connector here, but I preferred to have it neat, you know, have less wire in the back as possible. So that's about it. Hope you enjoy. I will do more review. If you have any question, just go on our website on Laboenligne.ca. Go on the website and I will make a section where I do some review that you can come in and comment, ask questions. It will be a pleasure to interact with you guys. So I would like to say 73 to you all. This is Victor Alpha 2, Papa Victor, and I'll be clear.